Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we're here once again with more F1 Manager. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live fairly late yesterday evening, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out from the British Grand Prix. But yes, we're back today. A morning episode of F1 Manager for you. We won't look out of my window. It is still very much the evening here in time travel land. But of course, we return once more to try and make Ferrari eternally great. So far this year has gone pretty well. We've only had a couple of clown show Ferrari-esque moments. Monaco basically that entire weekend, and then Carlos Sainz a couple of races back at Canada did not have a fun time out of it. Championship wise, we are a long way clear at the top there. You can see the gap to Red Bull, what's that, 163 points now at this stage of the campaign. Drivers wise though, Charles Leclerc leads the way, 29 points ahead of Carlos Sainz, but Carlos has been a lot stronger and a lot more competitive over the last couple of weekends. As we head into the Austrian GP, we have got a few little things on the board there, most notably some new regulation votes and some driver perks there. I mean, Carlos Sainz, fair play to him, has got a very good overall on F1 Manager, 87 rating. You can see he's pretty consistent across the board. Charles Leclerc, adaptability and his defending still need a little bit of work. Any important emails though come through, we have got some gearbox wear and tear on the car, so I need to get those sorted ready for this weekend. So we will go over to change. I mean, to be fair, the gearboxes haven't done too badly so far this year. We're hanging on pretty nicely on both cars there in terms of gearboxes. So I keep clicking the wrong buttons apparently. But of course, if you are new around here as well and you do go on to enjoy this video, please do make sure you consider leaving a like and getting yourself subscribed. At the time of recording, we are incredibly close now to 82,000 subscribers. And yeah, hopefully we can try and hit 90k, and of course the big goal 100k by the end of the year. So if you could help me get one step closer, it would be greatly appreciated. But yeah, Austria this weekend. Let's fast forward ahead then and see what other things we need to get done. You can see we have got manufacturing done on the side pods, so we can try and get a couple of those onto both of the cars. Let's just double check. Let's go change, and there we go then. We can install that on car 1 and car 2. Trying to leave the upgrades pretty similar. You know, we're trying to get both cars on the same upgrade path as best as possible. Don't want to suddenly get 4 races down the line and realise Carlos Sainz has got no front wing on the car or something like that. But there we go. Just a few other little bits and pieces as we head to Austria. Let's see. Oh, no, we can't see what the new regulations are. We've got a Grand Prix to do before then. So, yeah, let's head into it then. Austrian GP time here in the Styrian Mountains. The Red Bull Ring. Can we once again? I mean, Ferrari managed it in real life, rather surprisingly. Let's see if we can try and win here in Austria.
The battle is surely going to rage this weekend. Welcome to the Green Hills of Austria. The Red Bull Ring hosted its first Grand Prix in 2014, and it's been spectacular ever since. The Red Bull Ring is one hungry beast of a power track. Drivers face a steep climb up to turn 3 and a fast ride downhill through wide corners and straights thereafter. There's plenty of opportunity to overtake here, especially with the help of 3 DRS zones. The season is about halfway through, and it makes me wonder, what else is in store for the teams? Well, there's only one way to find out. Let's get this underway.
Right, well here we are then, Austrian GP weekend, and looks like free practice 1 might be a little bit redundant here. We've got heavy, or moderate rain even, I should say, before a dry rest of the weekend here. But 71 laps around Spielberg, of course, can get a lot of laps in, which should hopefully mean we can fine-tune the car pretty nicely if we get some dry running in free practice. So yeah, I mean, let's head towards the circuit. Then you can see car parts knowledge have dropped back down to 83%. Setup-wise, though, the team, I mean, do we want to run... We probably want to run quite low wings anyway, but they reckon we want to be running a lot less on the front than the rear, which is quite interesting. We'll try some different setups on both the cars like we always do. Somehow it always just accidentally ends up suiting Charles Leclerc far more than Carlos Sainz, but we'll see what happens. So let's just stay aware then early on in free practice as to what the weather's going to do. Can we get any sort of valuable data about it? Oh, looks like FP1 should be pretty dry running then, so that's not too much to worry about. Still need to try and click more buttons on F1 Manager because there is just so much stuff on this game that every single video, I feel like, you know, again, I know I keep saying it, but you guys are legends down in the comments below for giving me so many tips and tricks. I am slowly picking up more and more. This is kind of why I wanted to do a first season with Ferrari, just been trying to learn a lot of these things, and then, of course, jump in with a Road to Glory. Of course, that should be in less than sort of 2 weeks' time if we keep up with the daily uploads. You know, I'm loving F1 Manager as well. Super, super fun. You know, I'm enjoying F1 2022 as well, don't get me wrong, but it is nice to be playing something a little bit different on the channel as well. But yeah, definitely get yourself subscribed. Of course, neither game is going away anytime soon. But yeah, we'll let both drivers sort of work out how they feel with the car. Like I said, we are running two slightly different setup configs here to hopefully work out which is best, but I'm not too afraid now about trying to transfer setups between both drivers as well. You know, if one works well for one of them, maybe the other can try it. Who knows? That's a pretty resounding no from Charles Leclerc early on in the session then, saying we need to try something else. Let's see what Sainz comes back with in just a moment there. As I mean, they have just been trading fastest laps early on in free practice. I know it's only FP1, but it is still quite interesting the fact, you know, these two really are the only two in the championship battle. As, yeah, let's hopefully try and get some feedback from Carlos Sainz in a minute. Maybe he's preferring his setup a whole lot more than Charles Leclerc's. Of course, that was the story from Silverstone. Of course, Sainz was probably, to be honest, a slightly stronger driver throughout a lot of that weekend. Just missed out on pole position. And then, yeah, couldn't quite make the two-start work there. Got held up by Esteban Ocon late on in the day. But are we going to get any feedback from Carluccio in just a moment there? As you can just see, there are cars absolutely everywhere. We've got about half the field stuck down the front straightaway here. I don't know what on earth is going on early on in practice, but Sainz not wanting to let me know what's going on at the moment.
Guys, I don't understand why it's so difficult to drive.
Okay, well, clearly neither driver particularly happy with the setup then, so we'll call them both back in. We'll try some big tweaks, and then we will go again. Hindsight is a wonderful thing, I think, on F1 Manager, and so far maybe sending out both drivers on the old set of tyres might not have quite been the right direction to go with it, but they are still setting pretty decent lap times here. Yeah, trying to avoid using too many sets of tyres in qualifying, although so far this year it hasn't made too much of a difference. But Charles Leclerc hopefully going to give us more feedback in a second. Sainz is a few laps behind. We did have to make some bigger tweaks to the car to get it where he believed was optimum, as goodbye to the Haas car. That is well and truly buried in the shadow realm. Yes, yes, this is what we want. Charles Leclerc much, much happier with the car then, so hopefully Sainz will follow suit. We got just over 15 minutes left of FP1. We'll let Leclerc round out the last couple of laps there, as, yeah, Sainz is well worried about the tyres, but as long as the setup's good, mate, that's what we're really worried about at the moment. Yes, 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 we are certainly learning the art of F1 Manager. Both drivers then pretty confident with their setups here, as I'm genuinely now running a little bit of an experiment to see just how low percentage you can really get the tyres down to. Let's have a look at last laps then from both of our cars. They're down in the 106s, which, to be honest, is still actually incredibly competitive. George Russell on a 10-minute 4 is quite a good lap by him, but yeah, it looks like we've got everything all sorted out then in free practice. I suppose we probably should jump over into qualifying then. Of course, the Red Bull Ring's such a short lap round here. It's one of the only tracks you can try and get 3 runs in over a qualifying session. As, yeah, there we go. Everyone worried about the tyres, but I am not. Imperium experiences are back and better than ever. This time they are offering you the chance to win a weekend of a lifetime at the 2022 season finale in Abu Dhabi. This includes a 4-night accommodation at a 5-star hotel and travel to and from the circuit included every day. All you need to do is click the link down in my description and enter the competition on their website. But hurry, with only 1,500 tickets available and the competition closing on the 14th of September, you definitely don't want to miss out on this. So click the link down in the description below, and a massive thank you to Imperium for sponsoring this video.
With FP3 all finished, it's time to move on to qualifying. We've already seen a lot of excitement building since Formula 1 arrived in town, and today's qualifying is sure to be no exception. Success may stem from a well-prepared strategy, or a driver capable of incredible audacity. Put it this way, there simply is no surefire recipe for victory. You're going to want to join us for this, folks, so fasten your seatbelts.
Right, well, there we go then, having a look at the end of free practice, and again, looks like Carlos Sainz just able to get a bit more dialed in with the car over the singular runs, but he did do a lot more laps than Charles towards the end of free practice. I don't think we've got any major surprises. Daniel Ricciardo and Nicolas Latifi are both apparently taking grid penalties this weekend, but Red Bull still seem fairly close. Alonso and Gasly ahead of Lewis Hamilton there, as again Mercedes have really slipped well and truly into the midfield at the halfway stage of this season. But of course, like we've done in the last couple of races, we'll just head straight in towards Q3. Hopefully it's going to be a battle for pole once more. Will it be Sainz? Will it be Leclerc? It's often been Leclerc, but Sainz is certainly upping himself at the moment over one lap. Right, well, here we are then, qualifying from the Red Bull ring, and as always, you often see Max Verstappen just able to bring a little bit extra to a track like the Austrian GP circuit, but can we see whether it will be Charles Leclerc on pole once more there? Verstappen has actually split our Ferrari cars in Q1 and Q2, so clearly it looks like Red Bull have put a lot of effort in ready for this weekend. Of course, like I said, you have only just got the time often try and go for 3 runs here when you get into Q3 in Spielberg. Of course, where it is only about, what, a 4-minute turnaround between each stint. It is very, very tight, but it is just about doable there, as luckily I'll see a few more cars peel out of the pit lane early on, but they are all behind our 2 cars there who have started the runs. As Sainz purple through the first sector there, 4 thousandths of a second between them. How often have we seen in recent weeks these Ferrari cars separated by mere thousandths in qualifying runs there, whether it's the split times or the end of the laps? As purple for Charles Leclerc through sector 2. It was 4 thousandths at the end of sector 1. It's 3 thousandths now combined between the 2 sectors. So heading down in towards the final couple of corners, Charles Leclerc currently just up by, what, a whisker over his teammate Carlos Sainz. They're up towards the line. Charles Leclerc sets a 1:03.6. Sainz sets, oh, it is 3 thousandths there, so they matched each other in the final sector. You can see, yeah, 18.763s between them. 3 thousandths at the end of the first run. Surely Max Verstappen can't split them. Surely not. There we go then, Verstappen at the end of his first run, 2 tenths away. So it looks like both Ferraris have just kept a little bit back as we get into Q3 there. But maybe the Dutchman just trying to hold back slightly himself. I mean, 3 thousandths of a second is nothing. Even in the world of Formula 1, where every second counts, 3 thousandths is nothing at all here. But we have only got the time for 1 extra run then. I'm not going to try and risk it and send both cars out a bit too early on in the session. But will it be Leclerc for the 10th time this year, or can Sainz get his second? Well, here we are, Charles Leclerc just trying to build up heat into the tyres, but slightly worried about how far back Carlos Sainz is as we head out for the final runs here in qualifying. But out of the final turn then, here we go, Charles Leclerc about to start his final lap in anger, and will Sainz have enough time to get round to the checkered flag there? I'm actually going to have to watch out for that in the background here. 15 seconds left on the clock. Sainz just heading down in towards the final couple of turns. This is going to be very, very close for the Spaniard, but I think he will just about make it as we head out of the final turn here. About 5 seconds left on the clock. Sainz likes to make sure it is really, really a last-ditch attempt there. As Charles Leclerc goes green through sector 1 immediately, the Monegasque driver finding a little bit more pace here towards the end of qualifying. I think we've got Sergio Perez will be the first man across the line there. It's nice and tidy through the first few turns, but Sainz is going even faster. Are we seeing the Spaniard potentially on for his second pole position of the year here, as Max Verstappen, was the first man to finish off his runs, does stay P3. Alonso stays in P5 there, it does improve. Gasly gets a bit closer to the Alpine there, as Bottas now jumps both Mercedes up into P7. George Russell immediately improves their 3 thousandths between him there, as Hamilton now up into P5. Perez improves as well. Charles Leclerc across the line. Did he improve? No, he did not, but Sainz certainly is, as he heads down in towards the final sector of qualifying here for the Austrian Grand Prix. Sainz left it super, super late for his final qualifying run here, but will it be pole position for the Spaniard for just the 2nd time this year and the 2nd time in 3 races up towards the line? I think it is. Carlos Sainz there goes half a tenth clear of Charles Leclerc, and we spoke so much early on this year about how strong Leclerc is over 1 lap. Sainz is really just trying to push that a whole lot more at the moment there. As you can see, both drivers actually not able to match the times they set in Q1 there. And you can see Verstappen as well was mighty fast in Q1, but everyone losing pace actually as qualifying went on, so maybe the track temperature just cooling down a lot more than they would have wanted. But Carlos Sainz is on pole here for the Austrian Grand Prix, second time this year, of course. Canada last time didn't quite go the way of the Spaniard, but can he try and claw back some points to his championship rival and teammate Charles Leclerc? Let's get into it then. Austrian Grand Prix time.
The time has come to fight it out. It's race day.
Ferrari performed brilliantly during qualifying and will be very pleased with their grid positions. But the challenge for them will be to keep the momentum going during the race. This weekend, Red Bull displayed real promise during qualifying, but will they fulfill that potential by the time they reach the checkered flag? And the sky is looking grey and cloudy today. An effective tyre strategy could prove very valuable as the race plays out.
And this is the moment where it all comes together. So prepare for another thrilling race here at the Austrian Grand Prix.
Right, well, looking towards the Austrian Grand Prix then, should be a nice clear run throughout the day today. Don't think we've got anything too much to worry about there. But in terms of strategy then, you guys, like I said, you know, you've been super helpful so far in this game. Yeah, we are going to have completely clear running throughout the entirety of the event. So, what do we do? What do we do in terms of strategy here? I might try and go alternate between Sainz and Leclerc this weekend. Of course, you know, we let them race. You kept asking for it. I'm allowing it to happen. We are going to let them race early on in this season there. Is it worth actually putting them the other way round, of course, because I'm so used to setting it up with Leclerc on pole there. I completely forgot he will be starting behind his teammate this weekend. Some of you have asked as well why I put full fuel in the car. It is solely just so we've got a little bit more to burn as the race goes on. I always feel having a bit more fuel in the car is more effective. But in terms, do we let Sainz? You know, he has often been slightly better on tyres this year. I might tell him just to push a little bit more at the start of the race. It's driving options. We will tell him to go up into attack mode before we even get things going then around this circuit. But yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see then as to how things go today. I don't even know. Can I tell Leclerc? I can't tell him. I can't tell him yet to just defend from the cars behind at the start. But we will try and make sure he nurses those hard tyres a lot longer into the Grand Prix. Of course, it gives Sainz the chance. If he can break away early on, then he can break away early on. And that is the most important thing there for him. But if Leclerc can hang on in the DRS, then surely this could be Leclerc's race victory here today. But safety cars can always come into it and completely change things up. Often they have gone the way of Carlos Sainz so far this year. But Charles Leclerc still leads the way in the championship. Let's get into it then. Austrian Grand Prix time.
It's a bit of a cloudy day for the race, but the atmosphere as ever is electric. Taking a look here at Carlos Sainz. They're in pole position, and they've got to be happy about that. Leclerc there, down the grid. After an impressive qualifying performance, they're starting today just behind pole. Will their hard work pay off today? The crowd are ready, the cars are ready. It's the Austrian Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
Well, there we go then. Nice clean start from both of our drivers. Neither of them losing a spot to Max Verstappen as we head down in towards someone there. But will Sainz swoop into the lead? Yes, he will. Clean around the outside of Charles Leclerc. They're cool, calm, composed from the Spaniard. You can see 2 by 2 just behind him there. Look at that, Lewis Hamilton already trying to get involved with Sergio Perez and Max Verstappen as we head up the hill on this opening lap there. And there's cars absolutely everywhere behind our front two there. But Carlos Sainz leads the way ahead of Charles Leclerc at the start here. Hamilton's still side by side by the looks of it with Sergio Perez. We'll try and get a look as to what's going on in all of the melee here. You can see Stroll and Sebastian Vettel right towards the rear of the field going side by side. Oh, they're 3 wide there. Sorry, I'm going to have to quickly watch back on this one as Ricciardo and Lance Stroll there do their best impression ahead of Ricciardo Zonta. That time round, unfortunately, Sebastian Vettel was the Zonta, just like he was in the Belgian Grand Prix a couple of weekends ago even now I should say. But Carlos Sainz then still leads the way ahead of Charles Leclerc as we come towards the end of lap 1. And like we said, Sainz has got the opportunity to try and push here and break out of the DRS range. We're not going to tell Leclerc, you know, just hold back or anything like that. We are going to make sure that if he feels like he's got a good chance here, that he is going to battle him. But Hamilton, therefore, has jumped Perez off the start. I think Russell has elevated himself up into P6, as Gasly has certainly lost out, I think, down into 10th place there, just behind Valtteri Bottas and both Alpines. I don't think we can really actually see how many places you've gained or lost, can we, on F1 Manager? But yeah, good clean start from Carlos Sainz. Then now, of course, as always, the big focus is trying to make sure he builds up that 1 second gap over Charles Leclerc before the start of lap 3 there. Otherwise, Leclerc will probably just be able to sit right behind his teammate for a handful of laps there. As someone's locked up, that is Lance Stroll, rather unsurprisingly there, as he just gone to the Shadow Realm up at turn 2. Let's just get official confirmation. Yes, it was Stroll, and is it Shadow Realm worthy? Very, very close there to Ricciardo in front of him, but yeah, Lance Stroll just doing Lance Stroll things, I suppose. Why wouldn't he? Aston Martin gutted but not surprised by that one, which is, yeah, makes sense. That adds up in my opinion as well there. But yeah, Sainz though, like we said, needs to try and build up the 1 second gap over Charles Leclerc. Of course, where the Austrian GP is such a short circuit, of course, you don't actually get much time to really try and do that. So yeah, Charles Leclerc might be a little bit of a blessing in disguise for him. And of course, you know, we've got to remember the facts as well. Leclerc is an incredibly fast driver, slightly higher rated than his teammate there, as Max Verstappen trying to hang on to the coattails of the 2 Ferrari cars as well. You know, we've seen it many times this year. He's able to stay a lot closer to us just through watching our 2 cars battle each other. But Sainz leads the way still ahead of Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen. Hamilton, Perez, Russell, both Alpines, Bottas and Gasly are still rounding out your top 10 there. As let's have a look then from Charles Leclerc. How powerful is the DRS? It's incredibly powerful as they head up the hill there. Sainz not having to defend his position just yet, but surely it's going to be a matter of when, not if, for the Spaniard. I say that, it might be immediately here as Charles Leclerc going to try and have a look around the outside of Carlos Sainz as we head down the hill there. Will the Monegasque driver make the move work? Could we see a little bit of Ferrari civil war this weekend there? Leclerc still trying to hang on at the inside but backs out of it as Max Verstappen, of course, feisty as ever, just waiting in the wings. I never actually got a look back tyre strategy there as everyone on the mediums or the hards, no one wants to gamble the soft compounded tyres early on this weekend. But Charles Leclerc, yeah, under some pressure from Max Verstappen behind. Do I tell him just to defend from Max a little bit to make sure the Dutchman doesn't really get a sniff in at the race victory? So here we go then, Charles Leclerc once more on Carlos Sainz as we head up the hill, but this time round struggling to try and find anything. He wants to get to the inside of his teammate. It's all Max Verstappen there trying to look around the outside at the top of the hill. Charles Leclerc doesn't do what Verstappen did to him back in 2019, but he is under pressure from the Dutchman here. He might now try and take the lead of the Grand Prix. No, brilliant. Sainz, no! Why would you block your teammate so early on in the Grand Prix there? We could have boxed Verstappen in there as still the Dutchman trying to get around the outside of Charles Leclerc there as we head down the hill. And now Charles Leclerc has lost P2 in this Grand Prix there, so not what we want for Charles Leclerc early on in this race, but Verstappen is really trying to go for it. As on to lap 5 then, Max Verstappen now surely is going to try and have a look for a move on Carlos Sainz as we head up the hill there, and Charles Leclerc just dropping back ever so slightly at the moment, still within the 1 second of the top 2, but here comes Max Verstappen then in his Red Bull. Is he going to be able to have a look around the outside of Carlos Sainz? Will Sainz just be able to hang on as we get towards the top of the hill? Yes, he will, but that might leave him vulnerable as we head out of turn 3 there. Surely now the Dutchman is going to try and make something happen here as we head down the other side. Look at the straight line speed of that Red Bull car there. Clean around the outside of Carlos Sainz he goes, and Max Verstappen will inherit the lead then of this Grand Prix. I'm actually going to tell Leclerc now, don't fight your teammate here. We can't afford to let these two duke it out too much early on. We've just got to try and be patient and make sure we don't let Verstappen break free. Red Bull, of course, still waiting for a race victory this year. I'm sure they'd love to at least try and get there first here at their, effectively their home race. So we go then. I mean, Carlos Sainz immediately sails back up the inside of Max Verstappen. They're back into turn 1. Verstappen just defends from Charles Leclerc, or a little bit of moving around in the braking zone from the Dutchman, as again Sainz now is going to be under pressure. But what Charles Leclerc going to be able to do as we head up the hill? Again, I'm going to have to tell him You know, he's just got to go for it here in this race as Max Verstappen around the outside of Carlos Sainz. There's Sainz really trying to be aggressive with him. But you can see we are all still three of us pulling away from the cars behind there. As now Sainz will have the DRS of the Dutchman. Surely now Charles Leclerc can try and have a look back past Max Verstappen as we head down the hill. But again, Charles Leclerc just sitting back as now suddenly Sainz has got a little bit of breathing room. You know what? We'll tell him deploy. See if you can break out the 1 second window almost immediately here. We need to leave Verstappen vulnerable to Charles Leclerc from behind him. As go on, Sainz. This is your opportunity here. He's often missed out on this to try and build up the gap right when it matters. But can we now get him outside of the 1 second zone here as we head down? Yes, we can. 1.06. So that might be the critical difference here early on in this race. As will Verstappen have the DRS out of the final corner? No, he will not. So surely now Charles Leclerc is going to be able to apply some pressure as we head down in towards turn 1. We'll just get Sainz back on normal battery usage. But now this is perfect for Charles Leclerc there. Surely he can have a look past Max Verstappen as well in this Grand Prix. Clean around the outside of the Dutchman he goes as we head back up the hill there. You know, we don't want to battle Red Bull today. We've got our own fights to have on F1 Manager there as Leclerc now gets himself back inside the 1 second of his teammates. And he will actually get the DRS off him as well, so that's really important. Might mean Sainz isn't braking too far away too early on, but we'll just sort of see how things pan out. Oh, we got issues for Yuki Tsunoda down at turn 3. What on earth's gone on there to the AlphaTauri? Oh, there's a lot of carnage and chaos going on, and Yuki gets away from it and then just decides he wants to have a look what happened behind him at the top of the hill there. Poor old Yuki Tsunoda just dropping it round. Team disappointed with that one. But, I mean, for us, though, things have started just to play out quite nicely, at least in the Carlos Sainz side of the garage there. Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen are still just trading place lap after lap here, but it has allowed Sainz just to break free a little bit at the front of the grid there. You can see he's got a 3.5 second lead now. As any other battles going on, Perez and Hamilton are still duking out just like they are in the championship. Alonso and George Russell there as well. We've got 3 wide just behind them. Here comes Esteban Ocon up the inside of Valtteri Bottas as we head down the hill. But yeah, we're getting towards just over 1/4 race distance then in this Grand Prix. And yeah, so far so good for us. Things just settling in rather nicely. But Sainz has got to continue to try and utilise these tyres to the best of his ability. Because of course, yeah, I mean, we could see them both try to go softs to the end, but I don't think it's a likely choice. But Sainz, yeah, has just got to try and build up the gap now. He's been given a bit of a lifeline here as Verstappen again. Surely he's going to come back at Charles Leclerc. But the fact Leclerc is able to defend so well when he's on a set of the hard compound tyres there just proves to go how quick the car is. And, of course, just how talented Charles Leclerc is as well. You know, he's only rated, what, 71, 72 defence on F1 Manager? And so far, he is defending. He is, as Fernando Alonso would say, defending like a lion. I think it's safe to say there is. He's got the DRS again on Verstappen at the top of the hill there, so crafty little manoeuvre in the braking zone from Charles Leclerc. But now we've just got to wait and see how the next few laps pan out, and hopefully once Max Verstappen pits, Leclerc can really just focus on his own race for a while. Verstappen is kind of like an annoying little dog at the moment, just round your feet, getting in the way, so you can't really focus on what you need to. He's got more yellow flags. That's a Haas car of Mick Schumacher, or is it Kevin Magnussen? I think it might be, yeah, it is Mick Schumacher at the top of the hill, who seems to have done a Lance Stroll. Oh, Verstappen! Yes! I mean, that's terrible that we're celebrating another driver's issues, but Verstappen, big lockup. Down. Oh no, I've closed everything. What have I done? Oh, I'm so sorry. Anyway, Verstappen, I've missed it now. Verstappen locked up. That was a disaster. That was that was a Ferrari clown show right there. But Verstappen locked up down at turn 3 there. That has given Charles Leclerc plenty of breathing room now in this race, so we can tell him just to push on as Latifi's locked up down at turn 10. But I cannot believe I just Ferrari'd that badly and missed the overtake. As yeah, Verstappen now under pressure from Perez and Hamilton behind. Sainz now is getting closer and closer to his pit window, but I'm sure he can stay out a little bit longer. But yeah, I can't believe to be fair, I can believe I messed that up. Show I knew having a few small issues, but I'm not too worried about that at the moment. You know what I'm actually going to do here as we get to the halfway stage of the race? It's quite clear that both the mediums and the hard tyres are comfortably able to go more than half a race distance. So we're actually going to make this incredibly fair. We're going to bring Sainz in at the end of this lap, put him onto a fresh set of the hard compound tyres. And then we're going to do the exact opposite with Charles Leclerc 1 lap later here. it should mean, of course, then they've both got exactly the same amount of time on both sets of tyres. Charles Leclerc has got 10 seconds to close up to, though, on his teammate. But, I mean, like I say, you know, it'll keep it completely fair between them in terms of how long they've done on each stint, everything like that. And, of course, Charles Leclerc, yeah, might be a man on a mission second half of the Grand Prix. We have seen the pace, of course, fairly stabilise later on in this stint there, as I've realised I'm completely watching the wrong car when talking about all this, as we've got yellow flags out. Perez spun at turn 3 there, so both Red Bulls really having some issues today, and this is, I'm guessing, what Verstappen did. No, Verstappen had a lock-up there, so Perez lucky, actually, to get out of that gravel trap, to be honest. Certainly wouldn't see that happen in real life, but Charles Leclerc then is going to inherit the lead for the first time since about lap 5 here in Austria, but Sainz, of course, still has got the net lead of the Grand Prix, as we will tell Charles Leclerc to box at the end of this lap onto a completely fresh set of the medium tyres. There is Ricciardo locking up somehow at turn 2. How on earth Ricciardo managed that? I love the fact this game thinks this is turn 2, because I fully believe that. But Ricciardo just exploring what Austria has to offer. So we've got someone else running wide in sector 2. A lot of carnage going on in this race. I think that might have been Mick Schumacher. No, it was Tsunoda. Tsunoda really does seem to be in the wars this weekend. But Charles Leclerc, I told him to box now. Yes, he has boxed now. I was going to say that I better not Ferrari this once more. But yeah, that will mean Sainz is back into the lead. But Charles Leclerc has then got 35 laps on some ever so slightly fresher, but certainly quicker tyres. Definitely don't feel like they quite reached the crossover point on that first stint. So that's why we brought Charles Leclerc in now in this race. But yeah, we'll wait and see as to how things go. He should be out comfortably still in... Oh no, he's actually come out behind Sergio Perez here, so that's not quite what I wanted. But he should be far enough back that by the time Perez does box in the next sort of 5-10 laps or so, as yeah, Perez might be able to keep those tyres going a bit longer. Surely that's going to mean he's going to be out of the way. But yeah, we've got 35 laps to go then here at Austria, and now we are monitoring the gaps. Oh, we've got multiple cars involved then. What on earth's happened as we're just crossing over lap 40? Are we going to see a safety car in this Grand Prix? That would really help out Charles Leclerc, to be honest. Let's have a look then what's gone on in this race. Mercedes out by themselves. Lando Norris behind. And Lando Norris, what has he managed to do then? Oh! It wasn't really Lando Norris's fault, was it? I felt that was a bit unfair on poor Lando, but one of the Alpines just re-emerges. I think that was Fernando Alonso. Suddenly just appears on the racing line there, and I mean, that was a monster shunt for poor old Lando Norris, and somehow, has he still got a wing? Oh, he's got half a wing there. That's hardly surprising, as Alonso, I think Alonso might be pulling off the racetrack there. He's certainly at least got a puncture and some major issues on that Alpine after such a strong weekend last time. That might be Alonso's race pretty much done and dusted, but more worryingly at the front, Charles Leclerc is not actually closing in on his teammate. He's actually still losing time to Carlos Sainz, so not sure how that one's working, but we will have to get him around Sergio Perez soon. Got a few cars to navigate there. There was Fernando Alonso in the middle of the road, so that certainly helped Charles Leclerc get a bit close to Perez, but he's lost him another 2-3 seconds to Carlos Sainz at the front of the field there. So this is all really shaping up for Carlos at the moment. He's got more yellow flags out down in Sector 3. Someone else apparently having issues there as Esteban Ocon peels into the pit lane, but surely this one is a done deal for Charles Leclerc. Yes, it is, around the outside of Sergio Perez back down at turn 1. The Red Bull, though, might be able to get the DRS on him as we head up the hill, though. Go on, Charles Leclerc. Once more, I want to see him defend like a lion. Perez isn't really a battle he should probably be getting too involved in, as he will slot in behind him for now, but surely he's going to try and get the run off the top of the hill. But 14 seconds now, the gap between Sainz and Leclerc at this stage of the day. We've got both Alpines into the pits at the same time, which is certainly El Plan. Nailed that one down at Alpine, but Leclerc will hang on ahead of Perez this time round, so I think that's now a done deal. But 28 laps, 14 seconds. I'm not convinced Leclerc's going to be able to take this much time out of his teammate. Oh no! Charles Leclerc, even more issues then in this race, as he's locked up at the top of the hill there. And Charles Leclerc, how many places is he going to lose because of this one? Just trying to push a little bit more to close up the gap, maybe feeling the pressure behind his teammate Carlos Sainz. And Leclerc, first major mistake we've seen from either of our drivers this year. and I think he might have lost the place to Max Verstappen. So really, really just not Charles Leclerc's race. I think Carlos Sainz at the front of the field here has pretty much locked this one in, but now Leclerc 22 seconds back. And yeah, like we said, now behind Max Verstappen here. This is not what we want. It hasn't taken Charles Leclerc long, of course, to get more towards the back of the Dutchman, but really not a battle I'm sure Charles Leclerc wanted to get himself involved in this weekend. As you can see, Verstappen just trying to throw himself away from the slipstream there, and Charles Leclerc trying to look up the inside in towards the penultimate corner. That would be brave from Charles Leclerc at this stage of the Grand Prix, but all over the back of Max Verstappen once more then as we head out of the final corner. Both of them have got the DRS though from the AlphaTauri that tries to peel out of the way, and he's going to sit in the way there. Nice Red Bull. I'm getting salty at the moment there as now I think that is Tsunoda pulls out of the slipstream, but here comes Charles Leclerc anyway on Max Verstappen as we head up the hill. Is he going to be able to have a look up the inside of the Dutchman? Oh, they get very, very close there. But Charles Leclerc will pull off the move. Surely he's going to get the DRS off the corner as well there. And yeah, back up then into P2 of this race with just over 20 laps to go now. Verstappen actually able to defend from the AlphaTauri there. Surely Yuki Tsunoda is not going to do that, as now Charles Leclerc has been given a bit of breathing room again. So thank you very much, Yuki Tsunoda. I thought he was trying to screw us, but now he's kind of screwed Verstappen, which is not what you want to do in an AlphaTauri anyway, especially not at their home race, surely. Well, 10 laps to go then of the Austrian Grand Prix, and Charles Leclerc is still losing time to his teammate Sergio Perez? I don't know where that one's come from, but I think I've worked out the culprit for Charles Leclerc there. It's actually his power unit that's down to 42% there. So clearly, yeah, maybe just losing a little bit of power. Of course, Austria are quite a sensitive circuit, especially where it's at high altitude. So yeah, we might have to put Charles Leclerc on his third and final power unit next weekend. But of course, he's been able to gain points elsewhere from having the fresh power unit in the back of the car, as Sainz's is still at 50%. So yeah, not perfect for both of them, but that might explain why Sainz has still seemingly got more pace despite the fact he's on older, harder tyres. Or just the fact, you know, Sainz this weekend has looked very, very racy. Took pole position, of course, yesterday. Is he going to be able to convert his second ever pole into his fourth victory of the year? It'd be a fantastic effort, as it is now just the Mercedes, the Red Bulls and the Ferraris on the lead lap, and Esteban Ocon, but I don't think that's going to last much longer. Right, well, here we go then. Final lap of the Austrian Grand Prix, and Charles Leclerc has just dropped back further and further from Carlos Sainz late on in this race. But this is what F1 Manager is all about sometimes. We let them fight sometimes, and we get a brilliant end to a race like Silverstone was incredibly tense. Sometimes we let them fight, and Charles Leclerc ends up 30 seconds back from his teammate Carlos Sainz there. All of the races Sainz has won, with the exception of Saudi Arabia, have been squeakers right towards the end of a race. But this weekend, Sainz has looked in control there. Took pole position late on Saturday. Was very, very fast throughout most of free practice. And clearly the Red Bull ring has worked out well for the Spaniard here as he rounds the final lap. 26 seconds ahead of Charles Leclerc. We haven't seen Leclerc that far away ever, really, this season at all. But Sainz has often not quite had the luck of the green. You know, Canada a couple of weekends ago still was able to come P2 despite a 4-stop strategy. And rounding the final corner then, Carlos Sainz will return to the top step of the podium for the 4th time this year. And it's yet again Ferrari on top there, but the championship gap does come down ever so slightly. But GG's, Carlos Sainz, a brilliant race victory.
He's taken the win. Let's take a closer look. There we go. It's a win for Sainz.
Just an incredible demonstration of why they belong in Formula One.
What a fantastic result for Carlos Sainz. A truly well-earned podium here, and a dream come true for everyone involved. And with that, the Sainz name remains engraved in F1 history. But there we see the 3 drivers with the biggest haul of points. And of course, the silverware to boot. Ferrari had a very good race, proving they're definitely a team to contend with.
Absolutely. I imagine it'll be pats on the back all round, and deservedly so.
After an intense weekend, the team ends in first place in the constructor standings.
As we reach mid-season, the battle will pick up again in the Côte d'Azur. Join us in the south of France at the circuit Paul Ricard.
Well, I got very worried then for a split second when Karun Chandok said Côte d'Azur, because of course that to me means Monaco Grand Prix. But no, of course we will be heading back to Le Castellet next weekend there. But look at that, Carlos Sainz dominated. Absolutely dominated that. Still, late on in the day, was able to go 8/10 quicker than Charles Leclerc, despite the fact he was on a harder compounded tyres there. And does, like I said, make the championship battle a little bit more interesting there. But pole position, fastest lap, race victory, bish bash bosh, Carlos Sainz, 26 points on the board. Fantastic weekend for the Spaniard there. Charles Leclerc P2, everyone inside the top 5 finished exactly where they started, and near enough everyone else in the top 10, with the exception of Fernando Alonso, of course, with his issues. Pretty much, yeah, everyone inside the top 10 would have finished where they started if Alonso kept it on the island. But Zhou Guanyu does get another point for Alfa Romeo. They're ahead of Lando Norris. Anything spicy going on in the championship battles? Sergio Perez does cut into Hamilton's margin ever so slightly. They're 10 points between them and just 19 points now the gap. 21 points even the gap at the top of the table. So Sainz is getting closer once more there. Zhou Guanyu jumps K-Mag and Lando, of course, with that ever-critical point. No other movers, though, further down the order. And constructors-wise, Alpine jump Alfa Romeo there with Esteban Ocon's good haul of points. Alonso, I'm sure, would have liked to have joined him there inside the top 10. But, yeah, not quite the weekend for Fernando. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching this video then. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure you leave a like. Get yourself subscribed as well for daily F1 Manager content. Hopefully you enjoyed the Dutch Grand Prix today as well, of course, if you haven't seen that one already as well. And yeah, we'll be back very, very soon with more F1 Manager content. None of these videos would be possible without the help of our channel members, so a massive thank you to all of the names you see on your screens currently for helping support the channel. You can join them by clicking the join button down below, and yeah, thank you once again to everyone that continues all the insane support on my work.